From the sun-kissed shores of California to the roar of the roller derby track, Joanie Weston carved a legend for herself. More than just a dazzling athlete, she was the blonde bomber, a force of nature who redefined women's sports in the 1960s and 70s. Whether she was smashing home runs on the softball diamond, conquering the waves on a surfboard, or electrifying crowds on the banked track, Joanie's fierce competitive spirit and undeniable charisma captivated a nation. She was a pioneer, a symbol of strength and grace, a woman who dared to defy expectations and leave an enduring legacy, not just in the world of sports, but in the hearts of those she inspired. In this episode of Celebrity Afterlife, we remember the life of Joanie Weston and help to keep her memory alive. In the sun-kissed realm of Huntington Beach, California, a star was born on January 20, 1935. Joanie Weston, a vision of Golden State charm, grew up in the nearby town of Downey. With a heart of pure gold and a spirit as radiant as the California sun, she was the quintessential girl next door, a devout Catholic whose warmth and genuine kindness touched all who crossed her path. Joanie was a natural beauty, in a robust sort of way. The idyllic backdrop of Joanie's childhood was, however, touched by the early separation of her parents. Raised by her maternal grandparents, she found a haven amidst the bustling activity of their Southern California restaurant and gas station. Working tirelessly 6 days a week, they poured their energy into building a livelihood. Yet, even amidst the demands of their endeavors, they wove a tapestry of unwavering love and firm guidance, nurturing Joanie in a home where discipline and affection intertwined. Joanie's father, a man graced with the captivating allure of a silver screen idol, held a special place in her heart. She cherished the memory of a sun-drenched summer spent in his company, a bittersweet echo of joy that was tragically cut short by a devastating car accident. Consumed by grief she didn't yet know how to process, young Joanie, in the innocence of her pain, mistakenly cast blame upon her mother for the dissolution of her parents' marriage, a misplaced resentment that only deepened the chasm between them. Though her grandparents weren't Catholic, her grandfather, with a vision for Joanie's future, insisted on a Mount St. Mary's College education. Her grandmother, initially in agreement, wavered only when Joanie expressed a desire to dedicate her life to the convent. A compromise was struck, a different path forged. Joanie, with characteristic zeal, channeled her vibrant energy into the world of sports, finding a new arena for her passions. Gifted with a natural athleticism, Joanie conquered every sport she attempted, though her grandmother's protective instincts didn't always allow her free rein. Trick horseback riding, deemed too perilous, was swiftly vetoed. Softball, however, offered a suitable compromise, and Joanie embraced the sport with fervor, playing both for her school and in local leagues. The diamond proved to be her domain, a stage where her talents truly shone. In one electrifying college game, she etched her name into the annals of softball history, blasting an astounding 8 home runs. Graduation arrived, but the landscape for female athletes was a far cry from today's expansive opportunities. Then, a spectacle of speed and skill caught Joanie's eye: the roller derby. In that moment, her destiny unfurled before her. The sidewalk, her training ground, suddenly seemed too small. The banked track, an arena of thrilling competition, beckoned. She could barely contain her excitement, the anticipation of taking her skating prowess from the streets to the roar of the derby crowd burning within her. Joanie's sheltered upbringing had ill-prepared her for the raw, untamed world of the roller derby. The skater's uninhibited behavior and colorful language left her feeling adrift, a delicate flower thrust into a whirlwind. Intimidation gnawed at her, and the thought of quitting loomed large. Seeking solace and understanding, she reached out to her mother, a waitress who knew the rough edges of life firsthand. Her mother's down-to-earth wisdom provided the anchor Joanie needed. Roller derby people, she advised, are no different than anyone else. Then, with a touch of homespun philosophy, she added, people and sex are like franks and beans. They go together. It wasn't the boisterous world of the roller derby, nor its unconventional lifestyle, that drew Joanie in. Her heart belonged to the sheer joy of skating, the wind whipping past as she hurtled along at 30 miles an hour, a sensation of pure, unadulterated freedom. The path to mastery, however, wasn't without its bumps. Her debut was less than graceful. A spectacular tumble in front of 9 other skaters triggered a domino effect of crashing bodies, leaving Joanie at the bottom of a pile-up. In 1954, Joanie's journey took a pivotal turn when she joined the original roller derby, the brainchild of promoter Leo Seltzer. Quickly rising through the ranks, she became a beloved member of the Los Angeles Braves. But her star truly ascended in 1965, when destiny called her to fill the skates of the legendary Annie's Big Red Jensen for the hallowed San Francisco Bay Bombers, a team spoken of in hushed, reverent tones. For 19 consecutive years, she graced the All-Star teams, a testament to her unparalleled skill and dedication. During the 60s and 70s, Joanie Weston reigned supreme, not just as a roller derby queen, but as the highest-paid female athlete in the nation. In 1963, at the age of 28, she donned the iconic orange and black, a symbol of her reign. But it wasn't just the uniform. On the banked track, something transformative happened. The roar of the crowd, the announcer's voice echoing through the arena. Number 38 in your program, number 1 in your hearts. She was the blonde bomber, 5 feet 10, 165 pounds of pure strength and agility, a female athlete so superb, so breathtaking, that she redefined the very meaning of the word. Even amidst the often questionable fashion choices of her orange and black uniform, Joanie maintained an air of undeniable style. Her strawberry blonde hair, perfectly coiffed, and a strategically knotted scarf around her neck, added a touch of feminine flair to her athletic persona. As she surged onto the track, swirling, pounding, commanding, she was a vision, a modern-day Viking queen, radiating strength and grace as she conquered the banked arena. Across the banked tracks and through the roar of the crowds, Joanie emerged as the quintessential heroine of the roller derby, a radiant force no matter which team she represented. She remains, to this day, the most beloved of all the sport's legendary stars. But her journey to icon status wasn't a solo one. Along the way, she faced fierce competition as her path crossed with other formidable skaters, such as the fiery Ann Calello, the tenacious Kathy Reed, the determined Sandy Dunn, the spirited Jan Vallow, and the skillful Margie Laszlo. These were not just rivals. They were the forces that forged Joanie's legend, each contributing to the electrifying tapestry of her roller derby career. A clash of titans was brewing, a rivalry for the ages. Joanie Weston, the golden girl of the derby, found her match in Ann Calello, another superstar skater who donned the fiery red of their rival teams. Weston versus Calello, their names became synonymous with roller derby itself, the greatest rivalry the sport had ever witnessed. And it wasn't just competition. It was personal. Every game transformed into a battle of good versus evil, a slugfest on wheels. Calello, the self-proclaimed villain, relished her role, never missing a chance to taunt and torment Weston's teammates with a barrage of illegal kicks and punches, fueling the flames of their epic feud. Calello's transgressions ignited a fire in Weston, a burning desire for retribution. The crowd, incensed by Calello's blatant disregard for the rules, turned their fury on the red-clad villain, pelting her with objects and, on occasion, even targeting her car. Each skater played their role to perfection, weaving a narrative of good versus evil that captivated the nation. The audience craved it. They demanded it. Weston's righteous triumph over Calello's wicked ways. Even though Weston's victory was almost a foregone conclusion, the allure of the spectacle, the electric tension between these two rivals, drew capacity crowds night after night, eager to witness the next chapter in their epic saga. The banked track was a battleground, and injuries were an inevitable part of the roller derby life. Joanie Weston, like every other skater, paid her dues in blood, sweat, and tears. She spoke openly of knee cartilage surgery and a dislocated collarbone, battle scars earned in the heat of competition. Trips to the dentist became a regular occurrence, as dentures replaced teeth lost in the rough-and-tumble world of the derby. And then there was the infamous incident, a testament to Joanie's fiery spirit. During a heated exchange with a referee, two of her teeth, dislodged by the force of her words, or perhaps a stray elbow, went flying past the official's ear, a dramatic punctuation mark in the midst of the argument. For Joanie Weston, skating wasn't just a hobby. It was the very essence of her being. 18 years of relentless dedication saw her competing in over 250 games each year, a whirlwind of speed and strategy. Even after that, she continued to grace the bank track for another 24 years, her passion undimmed. As a pivot player, she was the embodiment of versatility, seamlessly shifting between offense and defense, a true master of the game. And though the roller derby wasn't a mainstream sport, Joanie Weston shattered glass ceilings, becoming the highest-paid female athlete of the 1960s. A remarkable achievement, even if her earnings fell short of her male counterparts by nearly $20,000, a stark reminder of the inequalities she faced. The roller derby wasn't confined to a single city. It was a traveling spectacle, a whirlwind of athleticism and drama that swept across the nation. Teams crisscrossed the country, barnstorming local arenas, their journeys fueled by Greyhound buses and well-worn cars. Joanie Weston's own odometer bore witness to her dedication, clocking an astonishing 60,000 miles in a single year. Their home away from home was the ubiquitous Holiday Inn, a familiar sight along the Derby Trail, offering a brief respite between the roar of the crowd and the thrill of the banked track. For Joanie, these road trips were a whirlwind of adoration from fans. On the road, Joanie Weston was a meticulous record keeper, earning her the nickname Wonder Bond, a playful nod to Ward Bond, the legendary wagon master of television's Wagon Train. Her constant companion on these highway journeys was Malia, a scrappy mixed breed with a remarkable backstory. Born in a box on a Greyhound bus, Malia possessed an uncanny sense of timing. She seemed to know instinctively when Joanie would arrive, peering out the window the moment her car pulled into the parking lot. But as the lights dimmed and she retreated to yet another lonely room in yet another Holiday Inn, Malia's presence offered a comforting touchstone, a little bit of home amidst the transient life of a roller derby queen. The 1970s brought a perfect storm of challenges for the roller derby. A skater's strike, the crippling gas crisis, and spiraling costs converge, making the sport a financial burden for Jerry Seltzer, son of the Derby's founder, Leo. The final whistle blew for the original roller derby league on December 3, 1973, a poignant moment as the banked track fell silent. Seltzer, facing insurmountable odds, sold the roller derby's assets to other promoters, passing the torch of this uniquely American spectacle. The violence inherent in the roller derby proved too much for Joanie's mother to bear. She could never reconcile herself to her daughter's chosen career, and could never bring herself to witness a single game. Her grandmother, though more courageous, could only steel herself to watch once. And so, amidst the swirling chaos and the clash of bodies, Joanie found her true support system, not in the stands, but within the ranks of her fellow skaters, a sisterhood forged in the crucible of the banked track. Joanie Weston's athleticism wasn't confined to the banked track or the softball diamond. She also embraced the power of the ocean, conquering both surfing and canoeing. In 1962, she paddled her way to victory, winning the Hawaii Canoe Outrigger Championship aboard the Maya, the very namesake of her beloved dog. She surfed the Pacific's waves, unafraid of the chill, eschewing a wetsuit. And in Hawaii, ever the daredevil, she once accepted a boyfriend's challenge, leaping from a waterfall's precipice. Only later did she learn the chilling truth. That very same cliff had once been a site of ancient human sacrifice. Life on the road, with its constant travel and demanding schedule, made romance a challenging pursuit for Joanie Weston. At the tender age of 20, she found herself engaged to a strikingly handsome fellow skater. The roller derby publicity machine seized upon their relationship, milking it for every ounce of promotional value. But after 18 months in the spotlight, the romance fizzled. 2 more engagements followed, each ending in heartbreak. One suitor even demanded she hang up her skates. But Joanie, ever the fiercely independent woman, chose her career over the relationship. Weary of the emotional roller coaster, and bearing the scars of so much heartbreak, Joanie, at 37, declared she would never marry. But as one chapter closed, another opened. Joanie found love with Nick Scopers, a fellow professional roller derby skater, a bond forged in the heat of competition and the shared passion for the banked track. Together they embarked on a new adventure, raising and showing their beloved cocker spaniels, finding joy and companionship in the quiet moments away from the spotlight. Whether at home in the Bay Area or on the road, following the trail blazed by grainy kinescopes that brought the derby's thrilling spectacle to local televisions. Joanie Weston moved through the world cloaked in anonymity, shielded by dark glasses and a kerchief. She was more than just a skater. She was an icon, a heroine etched into the hearts of countless fans. And she resonated most powerfully with the young, athletic girls, often held back by societal constraints, who saw in Joanie a reflection of their own untapped potential, a symbol of what they too could achieve. Even after hanging up her skates, Joanie Weston's competitive fire refused to be extinguished. She traded the banked track for the softball diamond, continuing to play with passion and skill in San Francisco Bay Area leagues, proving that her love for the game, any game, was a lifelong affair. At 38, Joanie Weston's body, a veteran of countless battles on the banked track, began to protest. The bounce back from injuries wasn't as swift. The aches lingered longer. The timing felt right. It was time to step away from the relentless grind of professional roller derby. But retirement didn't mean the end of her skating journey. Instead, Joanie channeled her vast experience and expertise into nurturing the next generation of skaters, training young hopefuls and orchestrating exhibition games. She became a mentor, a guiding light for aspiring roller derby stars, generously taking rookies under her wing and shaping them into the athletes they were destined to become. In her 1960s heyday, Joanie Weston's fame rivaled that of Billie Jean King and Peggy Fleming. Yet, her celebrity status existed in a different realm, a world apart from pristine tennis whites and elegant figure skates. Joanie Weston was a roller derby queen, a star of the bank track, a sport that, despite its thrilling spectacle, often existed on the fringes of mainstream recognition. When she graced the sets of popular game shows like I've Got a Secret or What's My Line, the sophisticated urban audiences were often left scratching their heads, utterly clueless about the woman standing before them, a true icon of her sport. In 1996, tragedy struck. Joanie Weston was diagnosed with Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, a rare and devastating degenerative brain disorder. Her vibrant health, once a hallmark of her athletic prowess, rapidly declined. Just 6 months later, at the age of 62, she passed away in Hayward, California, leaving behind her husband and a legacy that continues to inspire. Joanie Weston's passing left a void in the hearts of many, a testament to the impact she had, on and off the track. Over 200 mourners gathered in Hayward, California, to celebrate her life and bid her farewell. In accordance with her wishes, her ashes were scattered in the place she loved, the vibrant islands of Hawaii. But Joanie's story didn't end there. Inspired by her obituary, television executive Stephen Land brought the magic of the roller derby's golden age back to life, with ESPN's classic sports network show, Roller Superstars. The blonde bomber, along with her teammates, once again graced television screens, their electrifying performances captivating a new generation of fans. Joanie Weston's captivating life story, a tale of athleticism, resilience, and undeniable charisma, captured the imagination of Hollywood. In 1999, her story was optioned by Goldie Hawn Productions, hinting at the possibility of a big-screen adaptation. And while the 1972 film Kansas City Bomber, starring Raquel Welch, was said to be inspired by the world of roller derby, and perhaps a touch of Joanie's spirit, it wasn't a direct biopic. The true story of the blonde bomber remains, waiting to be told. A cruel irony shadowed Joanie Weston's legacy. The roller derby, a sport she helped define, folded in 1973. Leaving its most celebrated female skater conspicuously absent from its Hall of Fame. This oversight, a glaring omission, was finally rectified in 2004 when the skater and fan-driven Roller Derby Hall of Fame, based in Brooklyn, New York, rightfully enshrined the blonde bomber. Weston's achievements were undeniable. 4-time roller derby queen, and recipient of the Most Valuable Player award in 1968. Her place in roller derby history was finally, officially, secured. A quarter of a century earlier, Joanie Weston was asked if she harbored any regrets. She admitted she did, but quickly countered that one thing outweighed them all: stardom. Stardom, she declared, is recognition, approval, power. Then, with a fire in her voice, she posed a question that spoke to the very heart of her being. Do you know what it's like to bring 20,000 people to their feet, to make them hate you or love you? That's where it's at. Power. When questioned about the unique spectacle that was the roller derby, Joanie Weston's response was characteristically direct and honest. All I want out of the derby, she stated, is to make good money, get out in one piece, and, years from now, when I say I was in the roller derby, I want people still to know what it is. I want that legacy. Thanks so much for tuning into today's video. I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell to catch every episode where we dive into the celebrity afterlife.